Chicago, you there? There we go. All right, he's back. There we
Yep,
go.
can you hear me?
Yep, hold on. Just getting Chicago back in here. There you go. Phillips joining us again. Johnny will call
We're
back.
coming
There you
up
go.
quick. It was another
Okay,
short
cool.
I'm
break,
back.
so just a couple
I'm
seconds
back.
here.
Cool. Sorry, I had to I'm using instead of the hotel Wi-Fi, I'm switching to my
Wow, that's
phone.
way better. That's
Yeah, isn't
way
it?
better.
So
I am
weird.
Look
happy,
how
you are
pretty.
happy.
Look
Let
how
us be
pretty.
happy together, whether the weather is cloudy or sunny. I will always be your funny honey bunny. I am lucky, you are lucky. Let us get lucky together, whether the weather is cloudy or breezy. I'll be there to say, hey, come on, let's take it easy. Cause isn't it nice to have the friends that you do? And isn't it nice that the sky is so blue? And isn't it nice to say I love you, chugga chugga choo choo, woo woo. I am smiling, you are smiling. Let us smile together, whether the weather is cloudy or stormy. I will still be there in the morning. I'll be right by your side in the morning. I'll make you breakfast in the morning. I hope that you like cereal.
Yay! That's so nice. We do that for Phil these
That
days.
makes my week.
And I gotta say, brother, it's nice to and Johnny Million's joining us again. Or whatever. I had to switch internets just to get us back on. Look how much clearer Johnny Million is. It's unbelievable. And look, we can actually see the wonderful city of Kiev
Look
right
how
behind you.
pretty.
Yeah, it's
Look
very
how
nice.
pretty.
It's so nice. You look like you're in front of a green screen now. That's the funny part. It's so nice, right? The lighting is so great, and yeah. For those of you watching at infotainmentwars.com, back online, if anybody got kicked off, jump back in, and there you go. We should be better, yada, yada. I had to do it during a break because I didn't trust it. And as soon as I did it, by the way, everything crapped out. So we had to reload. So it made sense. I'm sure we have a couple more questions for Philip from Johnny Million. What do we have?
Let's do it.
So, from Connie Kelly, she asks, the state TV is sending lives to Belarus, who's trying to stay neutral, but is still pro-Russian. Any hope of changing Belarus's mind?
Boy, I certainly hope so. And you know, as much as I don't like our intelligence community doing things like infiltrating and undermining governments, if there's a government in the world that deserves to be undermined, it's that of Alexander Lukashenko. And it is fertile ground because of the Belarusians. I think the Belarusians are if it doesn't collapse before the victory in Ukraine, it will happen shortly after. And it's only right that it does happen, because I've been to Belarus. I've been to Belarus a few times, and I was actually in. Oh, hey, there goes a nice little. Wow. Okay. Very heavy military vehicle moving past me just there.
All right.
I was in Belarus the weekend before 9/11. And some of you who enjoy what I do and are interested in what I have to say, I have been contacted by a production company, and there is the possibility of a documentary about my career. And if that happens, this will be part of it, because I was in Belarus the weekend before 9/11. I saw the re-election. I think it was the second or third re-election of Alexander Lukashenko. And I saw even back then the brutality that he inflicted upon his people for those who contested the results of the election. He is a terrible leader. He is a criminal. He is brutal, and the Belarusian people deserve better. And I think that again, if it doesn't happen before Ukrainian victory, it will happen shortly after. But yes, I do believe that Belarus is due to become part of the European community of nations.
I think that after Ukraine is stabilized, and even after this ends, and perhaps before, but I think definitely after, the fact that Lithuania and Latvia are like, see, told you, join NATO, dummies, otherwise they're coming in, and Finland and Sweden have joined. The pressure on Belarus, especially if the federation collapses or in the possibility of collapsing, Belarus is basically going to switch sides.
Well, just as a quick note, and then let's move on to another question. But just as a quick note, the only reason he survived the last round of upheaval in this country is because Putin came in and intervened.
Right.
So, you know, without Putin, Lukashenko is in bad shape.
Right. And unfortunately, Yeah, whoops. Unfortunately, the issue I have is that some of these guys changing sides because it's just they see the stronger side are not trustworthy. They're faux amis, as the French would say, and there's a real danger that they're with you right now until the next dictator comes along and they're like, that's my guy. And if you get somebody, who tries to be the villain in Val Kilmer's The Saint, and goes, we need a Russia that's no longer not revered but feared, which is what Putin was ultimately trying to do. That's a concern with if the structure is still in place in Belarus. I think it'll go the way of Ukraine over time, given a chance, but it won't do it with the current heads. It'll be all this: if you want investment, you got to drop your corruption. What your corruption is these Russian-linked oligarchs. They're going to go through this whole peloton with these guys. Just like they had to do with Ukraine. And the only difference is we don't have to look at it being invaded by Russia as part of the process, which is way better. It'll be all economic and legal, which is how it should be in a rules-based ordered society amongst world nations trying to get along and just sell each other stuff and have tourists, which is how countries should operate.
Not that I'm cheating on you, Hal, but I did do a roundtable yesterday with another group, and they were asking me about that, and I said that I think that there are those increasingly within Europe who are starting to realize that this is actually happening, and that Ukraine is going to be, and these other states, Belarus and Ukraine, are actually going to become members of the European Union. And as we've discussed in the past, I think they're starting to wake up to the realization that that may actually challenge their supremacy. And I'm looking at you, Berlin.
Right.
So
that's right. That's why the dragging of their feet in Germany. That's why. It's specifically why, because they will be toppled as the lead government, the power player. Germany and France have been jockeying back and forth as the power players in Europe for a very long time because of size.
Right. And one of the things that have kept them, when I had this conversation, one of the things that kept them from that neighborhood of nations is the corruption issue. And the corruption issue, I think, will be resolved in the aftermath of this war, because I think that a lot of people are going to be like, there has to be a reason. That all this blood. There has to be a result. So there has to be something needs to be delivered after all of this. And I think the Ukrainians are definitely going to clean house. And when they do, they will become part of that neighborhood of nations, and it will change the dynamic of Europe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt. And I think to some degree, Germany has a little bit of the exercise of control that they are going to lose a little bit of because of their importance. I mentioned this earlier. Ukraine has we know about its grain supplies. We know now, and if anybody bothers to listen to what I've been clamoring on about for the last couple of months, that one of the reasons for 2014 was the discovery of oil and gas deposits, not just on land in Ukraine, but around Crimea, between Crimea and Odessa. Those lands. It's one of the main reasons, besides having a port and all that stuff, that Russia wanted that, because if you get Crimea, you get the waters for about 250 miles out, and that's oil and gas. You're going to get in there, and that'll supply. You have an even more bigger stranglehold. But also, Ukraine has the biggest uranium deposits in all of Europe. It has the biggest iron ore deposits in all of Europe. It has the biggest veins of.
It has a population that is incredibly
technically savvy.
Revolution here.
Yep.
There's an agribusiness here, and I'm going to catch myself before I get a lot of criticism here, because I did lose the plot. I should have reversed that about the corruption in Germany, but I lost the plot a little bit because look how pretty.
I know, it's so beautiful.
I'm like, this is a broadcast quality. I mean, I have. In the size of a small suit, not even a suitcase. I mean, we would have killed for this. Oh God, I got to keep correcting myself with my analogies, but I have the capability to be an entire broadcast organization
Yeah,
in the size of a just
I
teeny.
know.
I mean, this ring light countering
It's
this beautiful
gorgeous.
backdrop
It's great.
is just
Yeah,
amazing. So I'm
it
sorry I
is.
lost the plot a little bit there, but
No,
my
it's
God,
exciting.
pretty, right?
Yeah, it is. Those not watching, you can watch later on at
Yes, please.
infotainmentwars.com or on twitch.tv/HalSparks or even on my Facebook page at the Hal Sparks page. So what I do want to address, and we've only got a couple minutes left. Let me do at least one more question. Is there another question there, Johnny, we can grab real quick? Just because I feel...
Yeah. This is from Medium T. Does Central/Eastern Russia have a united identity, or would they break apart into smaller provinces, maybe even big regions?
Right, like the Siberian/Mongolian adjacent regions.
They have an identity in and of themselves, but they're so. When you get out to the hinterlands of Russia, you are really talking about hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of miles of separation. So, a unified identity, no. Like a republic that'll rise up, that'll be kind of like a Caucasus region that'll unify and become a nation state in and of itself, or a Central Asian. More likely, the Central Asian in particular are more likely to group up with the Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, those groups. And then as you get farther and farther east, I mean, they're massive, massive. And this is the problem. This is why the center of gravity will not hold, because there's just no population mass, because that territory is it's inhospitable. So when it breaks up, when the center of gravity breaks,
80% of the year. It's permafrost. And I think you're right about the Kazakhstan aspect of it, because Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan or Kazakhstanis and the like don't necessarily have an identity. But like when we think of Kazakhstan, we think of Borat in this country. But even still, within within the context of the existence of those places, it's not like they go, finally, we Kazakhstanis, the way the Ukrainians do, which is extraordinary. Even the way, I would argue, Lithuanians do, or the Finnish do, or
if you look at the Republic of Bashkiria or Tatarstan, they don't really have an identity that would allow
a national
them
identity,
to.
Right.
But they wouldn't bandy together with fellow republics in their region, just because they're so sparsely populated. Because we talk about the permafrost, but also
we're out of time. By the way, hold on, we're out of time. I want to thank Chicago. We'll keep talking in the post show. We're out of time. Thanks, Chicago. We'll see you next time. It's the Hal Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide. We're here every Saturday. We'll talk to you later. Thanks. Okay, bye. Thanks, Matt. Welcome aboard. For a second.
All right, thank you guys.
Thanks. Sorry, blazed into that last minute. I was like, because of the delay, I was like, I'll get there. Thanks so much. Okay, hold for a second, and then we'll talk a little bit after the break for a second, and then I got to run out the door because I got band stuff. Right. I kept going like, but anyways.
We got to get hand signals figured out.
Totally, yeah. Or there's a little side chat in the interview thing, but it's just another thing to watch that is a pain in the butt, I think. So,
God, this is beautiful. Look at that.
I know, it's great.
Look how pretty.
Great. Yeah,
it'd be funny if we were just describing something completely inappropriate that Phil was showing us. Like, Phil, put your shirt down. Jesus,
right? Yeah, right. Yeah, like that's the thing about
your
radio.
Landscaping
right?
is beautiful.
Yeah. So okay, since we're out or whatever, we could do maybe a couple more questions of the.
I've got a couple more.
Yeah, and then I'll bail out because we had tech issues earlier. And by the way, the earlier part of the show, while the res will be lower, the audio was fine. I'll put it up again.
Next week I will probably either be back in Lviv or I might even be in Krakow, because I'm gonna close shop in Lviv and then I'm gonna move here permanently until the end of the war. But this is just a temporary visit to kind of find a base of operations.
Sure, like it. Let's. What are the questions, Johnny?
So Ed's 3D Tech asks, when do we estimate the Crimean Bridge goes boom?
Good question.
Yeah.
I mean, man, I tell you, I had through an intermediary a conversation with a very high-ranking member of the SBU, and they got the bit between their teeth when it comes to Crimea. They think that they can take it back. That's their thinking. That's their objective. That's their military planning strategy.
Yep.
And if that happens, then yeah, you can't allow that bridge to exist. I mean, we've talked about it in the past about how eventually it's going to fall in the sea because it's bad engineering built with corruption and skimming off the top. But in addition to that, it's just not viable. But I mean, it would, as our mutual friend suggested over coffee one day back in Lviv. He said, all it would take is a couple of helicopters to land on that thing, and a couple of special ops sappers to run out and drop a couple of charges, and boom. I think I absolutely think that's a possibility.
I agree. Hold on. Oops, sorry. There we go. You heard about here's the issue too about Crimea, is that one of the reasons why the belief is that it'll be hard for them to take Crimea is because Russia can just park its boats and bomb the crap out of it and basically turn the whole thing into the steel plant. And just ruin Crimea is the idea, is the theory. Problem is, if it's useful, it's only useful if it's functioning. So they're caught in a rock and a hard place. They have no use for a destroyed Crimea either. And if they had to, if they do this kind of, if I can't have you, no one will relationship with Crimea, ultimately.
There are pros and cons. There are pros and cons to trying to take back Crimea. One of the things that the Ukrainians have in their advantage is that they control the water flow onto Crimea. So unlike what you see in Avastil, where they stockpiled stuff, although it's running out, they didn't. I don't think the Russians have done nearly enough stockpiling in Crimea that if the Ukrainians decided to cut off the Kherson Canal, they'd be in difficult shape. But on the other side of the equation, I mean, that is an absolute 100% existential threat to Russia, especially now that we see the idea of Finland joining NATO. And so in one fell swoop, in a matter of 6 months, Russia's Navy is going to be compromised by 50%. Their Baltic fleet will be compromised and boxed in by Finland joining NATO, and their Black Sea fleet will be destroyed or compromised or what have you because of Ukrainian efforts. I mean, that's just, to lose 50% of your Navy in one 6-month period
to a country with no Navy. I don't know how to they don't have a Navy. They have
submarine fleet. Their submarine fleet, which is really important to them because it's their first strike capability. Yes, their surface fleet is nothing to croon about, but their submarine fleet is significant, and that's because they built it up because they wanted to be able to strike us. So the subs are a big deal, but you can't support the subs.
No, I mean Ukraine. Ukraine has no Navy and is going to be singularly responsible for the decimation of the Black Sea Fleet. What the hell? You lost half your Navy to a country with no Navy. I mean, just wrap your head around that. That's bananas. That's
I misunderstood you. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
It's amazing.
It's mind-boggling how terrible it is. And by the way, Russian subs, we all think of the Russian submarine fleet even as the hunt for the Red October, because the Red October was a disaster scenario book about what if the Russians get a nuclear sub like we have. The funny thing about the story, and what I think people don't recognize, is that did you ever see the movie Firefox? It's a Clint Eastwood film, right? About the Russian stealth fighter that operates by voice command, and which is really hilarious. And he had to remember how to say fire aft missiles in Russian, in the middle of a dogfight, and that was he'd forgotten his Russian. It was like just a weird plot point. But the idea was, and there's all kinds of stories about who's funding those kind of movies to kind of puff up the idea that Russia had this big military, and the Chinese did the exact same thing for years, which is, funnel some money into these movies that make Russia look like a big monster we all have to be scared of. And that propaganda war was valuable, and it happened all over the place. Like, we're going to find that for years. Those tendrils exist. The Chinese ones are very overt. They're embarrassing. But the Russian ones were very subtle for a very long time. And the Hunt for the Red October story is what most people think of when they think of the Russian Navy. They think of a nuclear sub that can park right off of D.C.
the Russian Navy is still. The Russian submarine fleet is a force to be reckoned with. But yes, I agree with you. Now, Johnny, if you have another question, that's great.
Yeah.
But if you have to run, Hal, you got to give me warning, because before you run, I got to show you. Now that the sun is set, I got to show you this street.
Show us right now.
Question,
yeah.
You want to do it now?
Yeah,
okay,
show us right now. It's so great.
Look at this.
Oh, it's great.
It's pretty.
It's beautiful. It reminds me of, being in Berlin or being in Monaco or, any of the great cities of Europe. It's just such a lovely, that's the sky. We don't see the moon. That's the top. There you go.
Can you see? Can you see anything there? Okay. Sorry.
Only your ceiling. There you go. Oh, there's the towers. There they are. Just gorgeous. And we're gonna, you and I at some point are gonna have to do like a long
lovely city.
Yeah. I'm gonna do my documentary, My Time with Phil, on my own at some point, where I'll have a sit down interview there, and we'll go back through all these videos and talk about what we were talking about and how we hooked up and all that kind of stuff over the years. I think that would be lovely. And if anybody wants, we got to do that. And if this documentary about your career doesn't include me giving him the real juice, I don't know what this world's coming to. All right, one more question.
Well, shoot me a DM. I'll connect you with the producers.
I love it. Okay, Johnny, give him one more question, and then I got to bail out for music
Smith
stuff.
Wants to know if there's a snail mail address that they can use to correspond with you.
Russians are trying to sneak into my chat room and expose them.
I won't be able to do it because I'm over here. But if you want to send me stuff, I do have a mailbox in Napa, California, where one of my dear friends lives. And so when I go back to Northern California, where I'm originally from, I stay there. And that is...
Hold on. Don't give out anybody's live address on the air.
No. Oh, come on. No, I wouldn't do that. I have a mailbox of a PO box.
Okay, great.
But I'll tell you what, you're absolutely right. I will pass it along to you, Hal, and you can put it out as you see fit.
That's a great idea. Okay, I'll post that. That'll be a great way to do it. Excellent. All right. Well, much love to you, Phil. I'm glad you're doing well. We the last couple of days we were like, "Where's Phil? Hope he's all right."
A long straight journey. We're not done yet.
Nope.
We're not at the. What's the old Churchill saying? We're not at the end.
Yeah.
Roundabout way. We may be at the beginning of the end.
We have come to the beginning of the end. And we must gather our spirits in these moments.
This may not be the end of the whatever it is.
This may not be the beginning of the end. Hopefully, this is the end of the beginning. Right.
Yeah, we're turning the corner here. I think victory in Ukraine is an inevitability. What happens after that, we'll have to see. But stay posted, and I'll keep doing this as long as I can.
And guys, everybody, we ran out of time for me to talk about sort of a China update, and I'm going to do that as a separate video because it's a lot going on. The yuan is collapsing. Their economy is in basic free fall. They are suffering mistakes that they created themselves, and on top of that, the Russian sanctions are affecting their economy as well because they were dumb enough to think they could survive by putting their hand in Russia's pocket for a little while. And it was a terrible mistake. It's the idiocy. So we'll talk about that later. Awesome.
Well,
take care of yourself.
Thanks, everybody. Johnny, Hal, it's a highlight of my week when I get to spend time with you. So thanks so much.
It's lovely. All right. We'll see you later. Go have a pickle. Okay. Bye.
Pick a leg.
Bye.